Hi everyone, I'm Daisy Rocha and this is what's happening in Brazil. We start by updating you on the latest news from the country. Authorities from Rio Grande do Sul said that the unprecedented heavy rains that the state is facing caused the death of 169 people so far, injuring 100 and leaving 500,000 homeless. Local security forces are still trying to locate 56 missing people. The floods affected almost all the municipalities of the state and over 2 million people. Nowadays, 55,000 people are relying on shelters provided by the state government. The Landless Rural Workers Movement, known in Portuguese as MST, has been distributing healthy food to people affected by the intense floods in Rio Grande do Sul state. Solidarity kitchens in settlements produce an average of 400 kilos of food daily. The MST has already produced 50,000 meals using food from agrarian reform areas. These meals are sent via helicopters and ambulances to those in need. Volunteers from the MST, many of whom were also affected by the floods, are the head of this vital effort. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva highlighted the historic decision by Spain, Ireland and Norway to recognize the Palestinian state. With the move, now 3/4 of all countries in the world recognize Palestine as a state. Brazil was also one of the first Latin American countries to recognize the Palestinian state in 2010, during the Lula's second presidential term. In 2023, deforestation in Brazil fell by over 11% according to the annual deforestation report. Last year, there were a drop of 200,000 hectares of forest destroyed illegally, comparing with the previous year. In 2022, records showed that an area of 2 million hectares were deforested in Brazil. The biomes of Amazon and Cerrado, or tropical savanna, accounted for over 85% of the forest area. For the first time, the Cerrado overtook Amazon. Agricultural expansion was the main driver of deforestation with 97% of the total. Last week, union movements from various categories occupied Brasilia to demand rights during the March of the Working Class. Check out details about the march in the story of the week.
According to the organization, more than 20,000 workers took part in the event. Before the march, they presented President Lula and the National Congress with an agenda to guarantee full employment, better wages, and economic development.
The strength of the streets and the workers' movements is fundamental. We thank all comrades who left their states and came to Brasilia. People from all categories, whether they were health workers, education workers, rural workers, or city workers. Today, we showed that we are not going to give up our rights. We're going to expand them in the Chamber of Deputies and Senate.
Among workers' demands are the reconstruction of the state of Rio Grande do Sul, reduced working hours, decent jobs, equal pay for men and women, and agrarian reform.
We still have many demands because there have been many years of attacks on workers' rights. That's why we organized this march, to present the agenda once again to the workers who came to take part in the activity. It will then be filed with all the agencies, the Senate, the National Congress, and the Supreme Court. That's because workers' lives and their legal, political, and institutional lives go through the branches of government, the Presidency of the Republic, the Senate, the National Congress, and the Supreme Court.
Before the workers marched to the National Congress, a plenary session was held with the Minister of Labor and Employment, Luiz Marinho.
The right to work and the labor relationship have been under attack since the coup against President Dilma. So it is time to react, to put this debate on the agenda, reduce working hours, talk about the right to work, collective bargaining, recovering the damage caused by nefarious governments is fundamental.
Professors from federal universities who have been on strike since April also took part in the mobilization. The category is demanding their salaries and the university budget to be restored and career restructuring.
It's important that we broaden the unity of workers to strengthen the federal education strike so that we fight for public funds, because we want quality universities, institutes and CEFETs from the north to the south of Brazil. We want workers to be valued and students to be able to enter and stay at university.
The march also brought together people's movements from all over the country.
It is an extremely important struggle because it represents workers' unity and resumes a process of advancement in the collective mobilization of Brazilian people, of Brazilian workers, so that we can put pressure on the government to advance the workers' agenda presented here. We had the cry for the land by contact comrades, and today is the Workers' March. This is an important indication of the growing mobilization of those of us who support the Lula government, but want the government to make progress on the important agendas of working class.
On today's Culture Talk, you will watch a historic partnership with the Landless Rural Workers Movement, MST. Chinese machineries arrived in Brazil in January this year through the Northeast Consortium to strengthen family farming. Now, the state of Maranhão is celebrating as it is the first to start harvesting using the new technology.
Since the machines arrived in Brazil in January this year, the agrarian reform settlements in the northeast region of Brazil have been celebrating and waiting to use the equipment in the first harvests. This historic moment happened last April in the Cristina Alves settlement in the town of Itapecuru Mirim, near São Luís, the capital city of Maranhão. With around 100 families, it is a benchmark in rice production and one of the settlements chosen by Brazil-China cooperation to host the testing phase of the machines.
We said they will go to the States. Now they are arriving. They are beginning to be tested. In a year and a half, we will have an idea of the possible adaptations and needs that these machines may present and their performance within the context of machines for agrarian reform for family farming. We're very excited and happy about what's happening here today. It's the continuation of that process, but now right in our settlement areas and here in Maranhão. We're starting this field in these 3 settlements, and soon afterwards, we'll continue in other states, such as Paraíba, Ceará, and the MST areas in Rio Grande do Norte.
On the first afternoon of the harvest, the cooperative compares the pace of production back in the days when they used scythes and machetes, guaranteeing that with access to land, technology, and equipment, family farming is capable of producing even more food and perhaps supplying the state's demands.
It is the first day of tests. Everything will be measured, but you can already understand what a small machine can do in the field. Maranhão has a tradition of rice production. In this field, we've already spent up to 25 days harvesting a hectare of rice, which has caused us to think that Maranhão's rice production has fallen in terms of the area planted by family farmers. We implemented alternatives, such as the backpack brush cutter, and reduced the time from 25 days to 6. So far, 1 hectare of rice has been harvested in 4 hours with the help of this small machine.
The field day included a political event attended by representatives of the federal, state, and municipal governments, strengthening alliances for expanding this project.
Mechanization is a reality. It is a need. So the MST is to be congratulated. And we from INCRA are here to serve a fair agrarian reform that really gives dignity to people who live in our settlements.
4 farmers from Maranhão were trained in the state of Rio Grande do Norte to use the machines.
In the past, we used to harvest rice by hand, with a sickle and a knife. Then we adapted it to a backhoe, which helped advance the rice harvest, but with a bit of difficulty when it came to beating the rice and processing it. It was a bit quicker, but it required a lot of manpower. With the arrival of the mini harvesters, we can see that progress has been made on this issue, and they have contributed a lot to the development of family farming here.
The state government has taken part in meetings on Brazil-China cooperation and, along with the MST, is betting on the viability of partnerships to set up a factory in Maranhão.
Nosso grande objetivo.
Our main goal is to expand the purchase of these machines and manufacture them right here in Brazil. We want this cooperation to allow for the transfer of technology and for our farmers to be able to fully master this process and guarantee the mechanization needed to increase production, guaranteeing healthy food on our tables, work and income, and above all, preserve the environment.
Did you like the show? So hit the like button and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive notifications. We will see you next week.